morning, afternoon, evening, what time is it? Hi, everybody. Let me put this down. Welcome to Left Undone Community. And hello. Today we were in court. So if you're new here, please say hello in the chat. We were at the Chad Daybell Trial today. My name's Kathy, and this is Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. We follow all things true crime, but especially the Daybell Trial, Vallow Daybell Trial. It's been from the get-go. Hello, everybody. Hello, Lori Day, Liz Stewart, Funda Cruz, Leighton. Hey, Leighton, good to see you. Diana. What happened at the end of the day? Okay, we will definitely get to the end of the day, I promise you. But we're going to start out with the whole Melanie Gibb thing. And Lori's here with me. She's going to come over here in a minute.
Whatever you say.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about today. So it started out, and make sure to let me know if you can't hear anything, right, or whatever. Hi, Angie. There's my friend Angie. Hi, Angie. Thank you for being here. So today we got there, and the forensic analyst, FBI, forensic accountant, he was still on the stand. They finished up with him. You know, yesterday was really tedious. It was all about the financials, and it was kind of tedious. It was a long day yesterday. But today, when we went in there, we were like, please just let us see something a little bit more, less dry. Okay, like the real deal. And I really wanted to see Melanie Gibb. I really did. She was like at the top of my list. And in fact, Lindsay, who's here following the case too, was like, I'm not leaving until I see Melanie Gibb. So we were all kind of on the same page with that. Like, please. And so I made a noise when they said her name. I am the worst courtroom participant possible. I went, and then I was like, Kathy, don't do that. That guy over there is going to kick you out. They get really, they scare me. The bailiffs make me so nervous, right? They make me so nervous. They're like, and they just look at you. They stand up out of the blue sometimes, and they're like, looking at you like, I'm like, is he looking at me? I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm not moving. So anyway, it all worked out. They called Melanie Gibb. In she came. She was wearing an orange shirt and a skirt. At one point, when we took a break, Melanie Gibb was holding the door open for everybody. And I said, thank you. And I looked at her. Now, Melanie Gibb knows who I am because she has voiced to people that have told me that she was mad. She's mad at me. But this is a long time ago. You know, Melanie Gibb says she's still really mad at you because of the zombie. You read the zombie email, which I didn't write. All I did was read it. Somebody gave it to me. And she said, but she's also grateful at the same time. What is there? Oh, there's a weird shadow. That she's also grateful at the same time because this all had to come out. So whatever you want to do with that. I'm like, so I know she knows who I am. So it's kind of cool, like just so that she could see that I'm still following. I think she hides a little bit. And she says she doesn't, I've heard her say she doesn't follow anything to do with her or the case. So, but from back then, she knows exactly. So anyway, we started out with Melanie Gibb, and then she started her testimony, and Lindsay Blake was the prosecuting attorney that questioned her, which I thought was great. And it was really like, I was intrigued by everything because I didn't know where things were going to go. And I was really looking forward to Pryor's Cross, which is still going on. So anyway, Lori's here. She's going to come talk too. Okay. Come on over so she can tell you what she thinks. Hello. So what do you think? What happened today?
Okay, I liked, for those of you who have been watching all the money stuff that's been going on, when Pryor would get up there, I felt like he would stump them a little bit. Like kind of, it wasn't great when you were sitting there listening to it, but the guy today at the end was really good, and just, he was not going to let Pryor fluster him at all the way he came back at him. So that made me happy. Then we're sitting there and they're done with that witness, and then they're like, we're going to call Melanie Gibb, and Kathy's like,
I know.
Like I'm trying not, I'm terrified. I turned my phone off during it because I'm I'm just terrified of getting kicked out.
Yeah, we
They're
kept
very
the
strict.
stream going today, which worked out nicely. I just left it in the hotel room. Tomorrow is going to be a different story. Going to figure something else out again because I have to check out tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow. And so I think checkout times, do you see that?
I'll do it here.
Is it, which?
I think it's just the shadow. Maybe if I just, does this help if I do that?
No, I don't know what it is. All right. Well, this is a shadow, by the way. I don't have like a big weird thing in my face. So anyway, yeah, it was, and she came in confident.
This isn't important, but she's taller than I thought. I thought she was kind of short and petite, and she was actually pretty tall.
Yeah, she's tall and thin.
Yeah.
Probably about as tall as Lori.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought she was probably like 5'8".
Well, yeah, isn't Lori like 5'7", 5'8"?
Oh, Lori Vallow. I thought you meant this Lori.
Okay, this Lori.
Yeah. No,
yeah, she probably is about your height.
Yeah, she seemed. I'm like, oh, she's about as tall as me. Which
yeah,
I'm about 5'8". So.
Okay, yeah. So that was interesting. But being in the courtroom, obviously the prosecution part went pretty smooth. I think that Pryor really wants to get under her skin. He keeps doing this, like Lori was talking about this, like he keeps saying boyfriend, husband.
It's a tactic, obviously. We were asking an attorney, we can talk about it later if you want, but at the end I said, can you explain like why does he keep saying the boyfriend, husband, like he's trying to get under her skin? I feel like maybe I don't know, it's annoying.
Yeah,
it's annoying, but he's got this the way you guys have talked about it in chat, the way his inflection goes up in the end, and just certain little sayings he says, it's like, tap him.
So Pryor tried to subpoena Melanie Gibb before she even walked into court. How does that work? I think it was during the break. Mm-hmm. And Lindsay saw it happen, and she didn't take it, but she just, when we were told they can't serve her.
Right after I kind of saw that. Yeah, we were told they can't serve her while she's a witness.
Yeah, she's actively on the witness stand. It seems like really silly that they would even try. So yeah, so that happened.
Why does it matter? What does it matter?
What does it matter?
Why does it matter? She says it was annoying. I'm trying to figure out why was what.
What was annoying, Angie?
Yeah, why was what the matter? I would like to answer that.
Oh, about the boyfriend husband thing? Yeah. Is that what you're talking about, Angie? That was
it's over, and annoying to us listening because it's over and over and over and over and over every time, when we know he's smart enough to be able to just say, did you and David blah 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 blah, did you David, but it's
David,
what I'm so sorry that I
that's what
I'm sorry if I mixed this up, if he was your boyfriend or your husband. It's too many, it's too much, too many times.
Yeah, I think that's what she's saying. It was annoying. It was, it was really annoying. We were like, okay, enough of that. Oh, and do you guys live together? Oh, you don't, because I guess they're living apart, but she lives in Arizona. But this is old news. This isn't new. I know she wanted to kind of go back and forth, and her kids are in Arizona. So I think she's living in Arizona. He's living in Utah. I don't think he can move because someone's at his business and stuff. So
yes, Trishy, he pretends to be confused.
Yes, exactly. He definitely pretends to be confused. Now, I know Melanie Gibb is super controversial. People either think she's the star witness of the universe, going to save the case, and other people think, lock her up.
We were discussing this today. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't hate her. I know a lot of people hate her. I don't hate her. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
No.
Do I think that she could have prevented a lot? Absolutely. But I do believe that when she kind of caught on, I think she was caught up in that whole religious mindset. And I think that when she finally realized something's up, then she went to the police. So, and I'm like, good for you. You finally did. So.
Yeah. And I think she was caught up in that whole thing, a little brainwashed, and had to sort of like go, oh, wow, wait, this is weird. Oh my gosh. Now I'm getting really, it has to be confusing for a minute when your best friend, Lori's your do friend, like,
Mhm.
oh, I love you so much. I love you so much.
Yeah.
All this. And then all of a sudden they're calling and asking you a favor to say, and you think
Yeah.
God is supposed to be with Kay, and then
Lie
you're not
for
with
me.
Kay.
Mhm.
Like, so.
And your automatic thing, I mean, if my best friend did that, I would, of course, want to believe them. I'd be like, oh, maybe something, they need me
There might be a real reason.
for a heart, for, just a beat. But I think I'd hopefully catch on quick.
But I think in her gut, she started to really realize, like, no, this is bad. And I know a lot of people think, well, they were there the night that JJ was most likely murdered. So that's really weird too. I've always questioned that, like, why did they pick the night? If they weren't involved, why would you pick that night? To why would you pick that night? Her answer's a little flustered. Prior not finished with her yet.
Oh,
No,
that's
he's
the
not.
wrong one.
No, that was Ruby.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
That's it.
This one? I think she only got concerned.
Yeah, yes, I think she got concerned.
I think she only got concerned when she discovered Lori and Chad might be setting
Which
her.
I think you're right. I think that's probably part of it. She realized, wait a minute, they're wanting me to lie. But that could also have been her first clue to go, I mean, there had to be something to kind of make her think twice about this. She was in a mindset. I do believe she was in a mindset of the zombie.
Yeah.
Someone told me the first time Lori had told me I was, whatever the zombie thing, I'd be like,
I don't think so. I'd be like, we need to go to the doctor. Because I think it's crazy insanity. Like, I might, if someone ever, like, who was asking us, oh, Jenny, if some guy's pickup line to you was like, hey, we've been married in a past life, what would you do? I'd be like, okay.
Like, I think I divorced you in that past life.
No, it's just weird. So to be able to think that you're something special when somebody says that, you have to have a different mindset from the get-go.
The jurors, Leighton, they just take a lot of notes. You don't see, I mean, I try and watch them quite a bit, a couple reactions, but not a lot. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I've watched them, like, at some points they seem to get really engaged. Today I noticed during the recording of Melanie talking to Chad and Lori, they were like,
they were listening. I mean, if you hadn't heard that before, think about when we all heard it for the first time. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Do you guys this one? Yeah, I was just reading that one.
Oh. Do you guys think Chad only shared the deepest, wackiest stuff, like the zombies
and castings and dark stuff, with the women in the circle because they are more gullible? Well, I don't know if the women are definitely more gullible, but maybe this group, maybe he, men. How do I say it?
I think he wanted to be idolized by women.
Radar, like he knew, I think, who he could manipulate and who he couldn't manipulate, and he did have a group of women that were kind of gullible. So maybe
unhappy. Like, how did we word it in Chad, according to Chad? Something like, middle-aged, unhappy women that needed something in their life.
I think they all wanted to feel important, the most important. This whole group, they wanted to feel a part of something.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. And then a lot of them, like, there's just still some weird stuff like that Audrey, and there's just weird stuff that I'm sure will come out in this case, during this trial. But that phone call, the first time we heard it during the preliminary hearing, and a lot of people hadn't heard it before, like on Afterglow, I played it recently and stuff, and people were like, what? So it was a big one. Let's see.
Hi, Mama D. It was, honestly, I've heard it so many times, and hearing it in the courtroom, I just felt like it was clearer than I'd ever heard. I kind of caught up on things where I'm like, I don't remember that specifically. So it was good to hear it in the courtroom.
Yeah, and to watch the jurors listening to it. David Warwick probably learned from Melanie, sharing with him, especially after the kids went seeing thoughts. Okay, well, I was told a long time ago that David unbrainwashed me. Now, this is from people who know Melanie Gibb personally, so I don't know. But I was told that David kind of got her and took her and was like, this is not okay, and sort of unbrainwashed her. That's what I was told.
I would tend to believe that could have happened.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I don't necessarily think they were involved in the murders. I feel like more would have come out if they were. I don't know. These aren't very smart criminals. Honestly, do you really think Chad's a very smart criminal? He buried them in his backyard. He had
Allegedly
had Alex allegedly shoot her with that not paintball gun. Didn't work. Then had to come up with plan B right away. Like, is that not suspicious?
Yeah. Vintage girl, I didn't feel sorry for her. I thought she actually handled Pryor really well. Like we were talking about this right after. I don't think he's come up with the exact way to fluster her. I thought she handled him well.
I think she handled him well. I think she could have really crumbled. So yeah, I do think she did okay with him. He's trying to
trip her up.
Yeah. And he's trying to make her say that this is the LDS belief, right? Do you feel like he's trying to do that? Like he keeps asking her, oh, so you want to protect? Did you hear that part about her and Rob Wood?
Yeah, that was.
So there's like 300 and some text messages between her and Rob Wood that came out on the cross. And apparently in one of them, she said she didn't remember this. It was about her interview with Keith Morrison on Dateline. And whatever her and Rob were exchanging, she said she wanted to protect the church. So he was really digging into that, like, oh, so you want to protect the church, you know?
Yeah.
And he knows Rob's LDS. So that was kind of interesting because he turned like this towards Rob and pointed at him. You and the prosecutor were having text messages. Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird.
Pryor is very condescending when he crosses. I think he does it on purpose. He tries to be condescending.
Yeah. Totally, Kathy. He wants to act like all things Chad align with the actual LDS church. But we don't know what those people are on that. I think I would be very neutral about the LDS church if I was the prosecutor. I know that I would probably I would probably just stick to whatever Chad and Lori did.
Yeah, that's true.
And be like, whatever your beliefs, you're crazy and wrong. Like, kind of point out, like, how could anybody believe this and this murder is okay in your belief system? And I don't think I'd be bringing up the LDS church because we know they're fringe. And so I feel like that confuses people. I do. I feel like that confuses people. And if there's anybody LDS on there, they may get very defensive over that, right? Because they know their religion. And they're in Idaho. Odds are somebody on that panel is or was LDS, right?
Yeah, I would say for sure.
I mean, we run into people all over the place up here that are LDS. So I think it's kind of a slippery slope what he's doing with that. I think he should stick more towards, but who am I? I'm not a lawyer. But I think he should stick more towards just being like, so in your belief, you think there's zombies? In your belief, you think people are dark and light? Let's see, Mama D. She did just fine. She has a lot to account for, but it is his job, so I get it. I would have liked to see more of that with Lori's lawyers, yes. But she was against throwing him under the bus. Yes.
Yeah, we discussed that too. But she would not let her attorneys say certain things, so they kind of were, their arms were.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Their arms were twisted.
Tied.
Arms were tied. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it gets really controversial, though. Anything religion gets controversial, though. Yeah. Catholic Church, whatever, everything. Pryor's gig. Oops. Wait, I just saw that. Oh, this one. Pryor's gig is to legitimize Chad's stuff. You're right. He's taking huge risk. Right. As if this is just Chad, Mr. LDS, and he got caught up with crazy Lori and crazy Alex, and he was just doing what his religion tells him to do. Bury kids in your backyard. It's okay. Oh, wait, I didn't know they were there. I can't wait to hear the excuse on that one. What? Kids in my backyard? Oh, sorry, but you already blew it with your Emma conversation in the back of the police car.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the phone calls, I think the phone call really kind of nailed down that Chad was involved
with Lori, the one with Lori
today. The
that, yeah.
I mean, he was responding just as much as Lori was responding.
I just want to testify that Tammy was in bad shape and sick.
And the raccoon text. Yep. Right, Ruby. No faith supports murdering children. The raccoon. That's going to be huge too. The raccoon text. How are you going to get out of that one? The day that Tylee was being buried there.
Very demeaning.
He is demeaning. Oh, he is condescending.
He's trying to be. That's what he's trying to do. I mean, that's his job, basically.
But he's so weird. He'll do this like weird look at us, like from Chad.
Oh,
he's like
really weird.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, he's over here with Chad, and he'll look at us. Like, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like his face.
He does this weird look at the jury, and then he'll turn and look over, the gallery, and that it's interesting. I would love for you guys to have a close up.
It's really weird. It's really weird, but you can read his face a lot when other people are talking and stuff, and you see him like scowl and everything.
Do you know if they have texts between Chad and Alex? I think I know of any.
Not that I've heard of yet. We know we have a lot of texts between Chad and the Arizona girls, and then Lori and Zolema and Melanie P. I would like to see Melanie P come too while I'm up here. That would be a good one too.
Jill, we said this before. The juries just they just take a lot of notes, and they just kind of listen. They're for me, they're hard to read. Most of them.
I think so too.
There's one lady on the back row that I felt like I got a little emotion and reaction from, but
also I noticed Chad normally he's just sitting like straight like this.
He has his hands on the table like.
And when they went to a sidebar and Melanie Gibb was left sitting on the stand and Chad was there alone, he was like fake writing. He picked up a pen and he had a notepad in front of him and he was just kind of like not writing, but like not looking at her. And then when Pryor went to do the cross, Chad's body language completely changed. He leaned forward. He had his whole arms on the table. Did you notice that?
I didn't see that.
I was watching him. I go, wow, he's all of a sudden really like leaning forward.
I did see him during the phone call. What was the part where he was shaking his head like this? He's kind of looking down and shaking his head like that's not what happened. That's kind of how it came across. And then on break, well, no, it was a sidebar, I think. No, it was on break when I said to you, he's staring her down.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
she was staring him down.
Like I thought she was just kind of sitting up there waiting for whatever was happening. Chad was sitting at the table, and I thought she would kind of look away till it started again, like wouldn't look at him, and she was just kind of staring in his direction. So.
Yeah, she wasn't afraid to look at Chad. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's crazy. I'm trying to think what else. Like it was so interesting. Like every minute of it, the day just went by so fast to me.
Agreed.
And like they had to end at 3:15 because they had another hearing we stayed for. We'll talk about that. But
someone asked at the very beginning. Someone asked about that, and I said she'll get to that.
We will do that. Let's see. Melanie P. made sure that she wouldn't testify at Lori's trial by watching the trial. Then I don't think she could testify if she was asked to testify here. There's a risk you do it again. Well, then she needs to be put in freaking whatever, fined or put in jail for a day or do not, because you can't do that. It's literally like, oh, do you want to get out of being a witness? Okay, watch it. Okay, maybe one time. If she does it again, I hope that she has some consequences for that because she is a witness and she needs to talk. I mean, this is a triple murder trial.
Yeah.
This isn't about, oh, my poor little Aunt Lori. I don't want to say anything in front of her about her Chad, Melanie P. she's rubbed me the wrong way from the beginning.
Honestly, I have more harsh feelings toward her than I do Melanie Gibb.
Oh, me too, for sure. Her interview, like that one when Ian was sitting there and she was pregnant with that stuff she kept saying, lie after lie. And it was just like a bunch of double talk. It didn't answer any questions.
So Jill, when you get a minute,
Okay.
a little few more down. She was asking about the hearing after.
Oh, that is the obstruction of justice. She could be charged if she does it again. There you go. Those are the words I was looking for.
Yes, thank you, BC.
Thank you.
Jill Leslie was asking about the hearing.
All right. Yeah, the hearing. Okay. Okay, we got some info though on this. So they ended the.
Let's see who listened, who stayed and listened to the
Yeah,
hearing.
did you guys
give a thumbs up if you listened?
Yeah,
to
did you
the
guys
hearing
listen
after trial? The guy who filed the motion to have the.
Yeah, did you hear Judge Boyce talk to him and everything? Let us know. But yeah, do a thumbs up or something in the chat. Yes, or whatever. You did. Okay, Jill.
Okay, Jill did. Okay. Good. Badger did.
Badger did.
We were like, oh, let's stay. Like, why not? Let's
be
stay and see
interesting.
what it's all about. And I think, well, you say it. This is your turn.
No, say it.
I just think everyone who was sitting there was having a hard time, like, not bursting into laughter, not like to keep a straight face. I'm like, it was just weird. Like, what is going on? Even the attorneys, Pryor and right beforehand, Pryor and Wood and Lindsay Blake, the other two were all over there, kind of like you saw them talking before, and you could tell it was very animated. And it, like, what is this? What's going on? And then he came in, and if you heard it, it was, I don't know how to even describe it, honestly.
Well, it was really weird because he came in with his attorney. Okay, so this is I don't know if you guys heard about it. The people that didn't listen. There was a motion filed a couple weeks ago
during jury selection during the Void Act. Yeah,
and it was from somebody that wanted to intervene,
and it was filed on a Friday night or Saturday
Easter weekend or something.
At right before midnight or something, right before hours down before a holiday weekend, was filed. And
I don't have your name up there. Go ahead.
And then Judge Boyce was saying how his clerk or whatever was on vacation, and she got this alert that she had to call them during the holidays saying there's an emergency with the case. Like, everyone kind of was thrown off and had to come in, and it was this attorney who had filed. I'm so bad with legal words. I don't know why you're having me do this.
No.
He filed a motion to have the case
intervened or something.
No, what's it called when they basically put it on hold? What's that word?
Delayed. Like, no, he wanted to hold off on getting the case moving on.
Yeah, whatever that
for whatever.
Is.
Yeah,
there's someone will know the word. And that's, I think, when Judge sealed that.
Yeah.
So now it was addressed today.
Continuance?
Continue, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, continued. Which basically means, like, don't go to trial. They're already in jury selection. It's already set to go. And he was trying to, come in at the 11th hour, which pissed Judge Boyce.
Oh, Judge Boyce.
I've never seen him so mad.
He was so mad.
Livid.
He said it was frivolous, and that was that. He basically didn't let him talk.
Talking about 11.
Title 11 or
it's come on, you guys. I've been listening to it all day. It's yeah. Anyway.
Ruby says he sounded drunk. Well,
we thought that. So Lori Hellis was there. We actually had lunch with her today. She was actually very nice. And so I kind of went up on the break and I go, can you please explain this to us, like, in layman term after. So we went out and talked to her after the whole thing was over, and she did a great job about explaining it. And now you get to take over.
Okay, so I was like, Lori is looking at me. I'm like, the nurse in me thinks he's psychotic or he has dementia or something. This is just so weird. The poor guy. I'm thinking, like, he came all the way into court, but maybe he needs mental help. Like, it was just that weird to me because I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a nurse, so my brain goes to, like, something's wrong with him.
And Judge Boyce said, like he goes, I was mad when this was filed. I'm even more mad today, he said. And, he just started going, there were spelling errors, there were this, but basically, but I'm going to be a fair judge and I'm going to let you,
say whatever, answer my questions or whatever. He was like, you're going to answer my, and then the guy brought an attorney with them, and the attorney started talking, and Judge Boyce went off on him like, no, you're this guy's an attorney. He signed it as an attorney. He's here as an attorney. And then the guy was like, well, I should have said a concerned citizen. And he's like, oh, you can't do that now. He was like, oh. So we were like, oh my gosh.
John Pryor did not put him up to it. We found that out. Some VC girl said, I think John Pryor put him up to it. The information that we got from Lori.
Right. So it was like, I was like, this is some real courtroom drama, like for real, like, whoa. And the they all moved. Like, I was like, what's going on? They were going to have this motion. Well, the prosecuting team moved into the gallery. John Pryor and Chad Daybell stayed where they were. And this guy had said in his paperwork that he was the attorney for the defendant. But then he said, well, that was a template. That just ignore that. That wasn't what I meant.
Yeah.
So then we were like, it was over. Judge Boyce shut him down. Basically,
Judge Boyce made the guy who filed the motion, who was an attorney, kind of argue his case, even though he hired an attorney. So like, I'm the crazy guy. His attorney was Kathy sitting next to him. He's the one that had studied and was ready to argue it. Judge Boyce is like, no. You have to argue it. The crazy guy. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. The guy who filed the motion, you have to argue it. So he stood up, argued the motion. Judge Boyce shut it down, and yeah.
So this one's saying that this one is not going to show up. Sounds like John Pryor, used this lawyer to play games and try to delay the trial. JP should be given a punishment too. So
John Pryor was he was kind of like shaking his head like this.
This is insane.
Yeah.
So do you know Laura? You probably know who Lori Hellis is. She's writing a book based on this case. She's a retired defense attorney, and she was in court today. And so Lori's like, we need somebody to tell us what this all means, because it's confusing. This Rule 11 and all this yelling and all this stuff. So when we came out, I said to Lori, I think maybe he needs mental help or something. So anyway, she started talking to us, and apparently this guy actually is a very good, the one that filed the motion, Mr. Concerned Citizen / lawyer / I brought my lawyer with me, the actual person with the spelling errors and everything. She said he's actually a really
good attorney with a good record,
with an excellent record, like head of something, public defender
of the year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's done all the work to be a death penalty certified or whatever you do. You got to take continuing educations, and you got to sit second chair in a death penalty case, and he's done all that. So he knows death penalty, and he's actually very qualified to be Chad's attorney in a death penalty case. So she was saying, he's not crazy. Like so it was really enlightening, because I was ready to come on here and be like, oh, some crazy dude.
Lindsay said, I think he was drunk. Kathy's like, I think he's crazy. We're all like,
Yeah, Lindsay's like, I think he had too much to drink. I mean, maybe.
But Lori Hillis said he probably was actually very concerned that Chad, because of Pryor being the only one on Chad's case, and the whole thing when Pryor tried to not be removed from the case, but
he tried to
withdraw from the case. Yeah. That this guy probably is really concerned that Chad is not getting a fair representation, and that he could come in and help. And we also know that Pryor, remember when he was arguing that, was saying that he had tried to get other attorneys. Judge Boyce is like, go ahead, get another attorney. And he'd said he'd tried. So maybe at that time, Pryor had maybe reached out to him, or, who knows, whatever. But that could have been a little contact, but that, for whatever reason, it didn't work. And that maybe he was actually concerned, and that's why he filed the motion.
Yeah.
That's all, just someone's opinion, maybe.
Yeah, that's how she looked at it. And it was interesting. It made more sense than, I guess, he's just some guy with dementia that rolled in the door. my
Yes,
medical.
he was fined. Absolutely.
Yes, he was fine. He made them pay for, so the prosecution and the defense had to add up their hours, and the
add up your
courthouse-
hours, your whatever
We're
you normally
billing him.
charge, and you will pay this. And he said, Judge Boyce is like, you're lucky. Basically, I didn't give you jail time, but you're going to get this fine, and that's the billing. So.
But it does, I mean, in a way, it does make sense, because John Pryor this is a huge case. And like Lori said, prosecution, there's 4 lawyers there, and each of them probably have 2 legal paralegals or whatever doing a lot of research and work for them. So that's like, think of the team that's doing the job for the prosecution versus little old John Pryor. So it does make sense that at some point, they could say ineffective counsel for Chad.
Yeah. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But then she did say, ineffective counsel because Chad wanted him. Chad wants John Pryor. And I do think that John Pryor believes in Chad. Like, I think he thinks he's innocent. I really do. Which is so bizarre to me. But he knows Chad better than us. But
he's put a lot of time into the case.
Yeah. When Mama D, I think this is going to bite everyone in the arse if they say that later he didn't have good representation.
The only thing because we brought that up too when we were talking to her, and she said, but the comeback to that is they gave Chad every chance to, right? How'd she say that? Like, Chad wanted Pryor as his attorney, and he had every chance to, get other.
I'm indigent. I can't afford my attorney anymore. I need somebody. I need a public defender. Blah blah blah. He had opportunity, and he didn't do it. Chad can't argue ineffective. Let's see. Chad can't argue ineffective counsel because he was clearly asked at the hearing about Pryor asking to withdraw. Right. Yep. So that's what kind of we were talking to Lori. Lori's like, pick a lane kind of thing. Like, are you indigent and you need help and you want a death penalty lawyer? Or do you just, I love my Johnny Pawnee Pryor so much, I want to keep him no matter what. So, that's my words. It wasn't hers. But I'm just like, no, don't leave me. My attorney. Or, okay, let's get you somebody that can actually represent you. So, and John Pryor's doing a good job, I think. I just think it's a lot, like she said, a lot of work for one attorney. We don't need him to have a heart attack in front of us because I don't know where the AED is in this. We'll have to look. No, I'm just kidding. So tomorrow, so that was that, which I found was extremely interesting and way different than my brain was going. So that was that. And then Melanie Gibb, what do all the trials have short? Okay, all the trials have short. It's always over by 3:30. They get done. They're done by 3:30. I don't know if they still have work,
he often says they need to end because they have other things, other hearings after we leave.
I kind of picture it like when I was working hospice and I'd have to go see my patients all day. I wanted to be done seeing patients by like 2:30, 3 o'clock so I could go do all my documentation and stuff afterwards. So I could be done by 5. So Angie, the AED. Angie's my nurse friend. She's like, right, Angie, though, with your brain. Okay, where is it? I'll find that thing. I know CPR. No. Like when you're on a plane and your kids, they're like, is there any medical people on the plane? And your kids point at you. That happened on our way to Greece. Just quick sidebar. Michael had his head down. We were on our way to Greece, and I was sitting with Joan, who's also a nurse, and they made an announcement for medical people. And Joan's like, I go, what'd they say? She was like, medical people. And I was like, oh. And she's all, and we're all sitting there. And Michael puts his head up, and he's like, you guys. And I was, and we're like, if nobody else comes, but a bunch of people came. Obviously, on a plane of like a huge wide body plane all the way, somebody else can do it. So I said, if they're having a baby, I'm there. Right, Angie? If they're having a baby, pick me. down and up. Anyway, inside nursing joke. But yeah, it was Prior, he does get a little purple, so I do worry about him a little bit. He seems, yeah. I was thinking that, where'd it go? I was thinking that very same thing when I saw a picture of them both sitting there together. I miss them. Which one? That was probably a subject to go. So, yes, our sidebar. Yes. They have a lot of sidebars. So they're like sidebar. And then sometimes they go back in chambers, and other times they just go.
Turn on the white noise.
And the white noise comes on. But you guys, we have gotten lectured so many times about the cell phones and stuff here. Like so many times.
Yep.
In fact,
why I turned mine off. I'm so afraid.
Was that today when that one went off?
Yes.
Okay. All right. These days are blurring together. So somebody's phone went off.
First thing before court everyone had sat down. They just barely started. And it was like an alarm.
Yeah.
Like when your alarm goes up in the morning, that sound, that's what happened.
Yeah. And so the person who did it quickly turned it off.
Well, no, this is the person who did it. So you hear that. And then they were right in front of us, and you see this.
Right.
She just ducked down.
Right. I was like,
and stayed there for quite a while.
And then he didn't know who did it because he's over here, and he's in charge of like checking phones and stuff.
You're supposed to, if your phone goes off on accident, you're supposed to just hold your phone up so they know it's you without like making any more disruptions. They can come take the phone, take you out, look at it, make sure that it doesn't go off again. And then, but she ducked down. So we heard about that for about 10 minutes after the break, or right before lunch.
Yeah. And so he stopped us. He's like, okay, everybody, before you go, I'm going to give you a lecture. He had like a whole speech written down, and he was like, but I know people get embarrassed and everything like that, but if it's you just have to raise your hand and I can come over and check it and make sure you didn't just hit snooze or something. And I think it's really nice about it.
It's like Courtroom Dad. It's the guy from last year, the Courtroom Daddy guy.
Courtroom Daddy guy. Yeah. So I said to Lori when we were leaving, I'm like, if it was me, I'd confess right now. I'd be like,
and she actually did. She went over and said, I'm sorry.
She did go apologize. And then, to be fair, his phone went off, and he had his phone taken away. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was right at the end. He's like, that was funny.
It was funny.
He's like, just what I lectured you for. I don't know if you heard it, but his watch went off. And so he's like, I had to give my phone to the other bailiff. Yeah.
It was funny.
I'm accountable as well.
He was like, so there you have it. Yes, the good Lori Hellis. That's who we were talking to. Oh, yes. Please click the like. Thank you so much, you guys. Anybody have any other questions about the trial, the jury? It's different being here than watching the stream. So you would have wet your pants if your phone went up. Yeah, I know. I was like, I scare myself when I make a noise, like gasp, like when they said Melanie Gibb. I was like, don't do that, Kathy. You're going to get kicked out. And he did tell us you're not supposed to be like nodding your head in agreement with anything. He's like, don't do that. Like any of that stuff can distract or maybe influence the jury, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ruby. Anyway, it did not end up well for the third party. Judge said frivolous and charged him penalties. Yes, right. That's exactly what happened in the end. That's exactly what happened.
I'll let you finish. I'm going to get on the comments and respond.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up pretty soon. We're going to have to go eat at some point here. I'm getting a little bit hungry. I would not upset that judge either, Ruby. Like, seriously, he scares me. And he can be a little overkill on things, I've noticed. So, yeah. So, let's see.
Where are you going to eat?
Where are we going to eat? We don't know. Last night we went to this place called Bolovino. It's kind of cool. It's like a little wine bar, and they have all these like wine bottles in these glass cases, and you can have them filled. They have food there too, by the way. But
Like pizza kind of.
Yeah, I had a like flatbread pizza. And they have a good gluten-free menu if you're gluten-free. But then they fill your cards. You put like $20 on a card. And instead of having like a tasting where there's a person telling you about the wine and pouring it, you just go around all over them, all over in here. And you can pick like, okay, I just want the $2 taste, or I want the $7 taste, or I want the full glass, $10 or whatever it is. And you swipe your card and then you push it and then you get your little wine tasting and you can just try them all. It's really cool. I wish they had something like that by me. I liked it. I like tasting, it's kind of neat to try different ones without having to go buy a bottle and not know if you like it. Did you chat with Nate? I did. I talked to Nate yesterday. So that was nice. And he was very pleasant, very nice. And I told him, sometimes I take some of your stuff, but I always give you credit. He's like, "I thank you. I appreciate that very much." And I said, and we watch what's his thing at the end of the night? We have something every night during this trial. Courtroom, whatever at night. So he did go running after okay, so that was when we were coming out, those third-party people were leaving, but then we stopped to talk to Lori and they walked right behind us on the courtroom, like the steps of the courthouse. And they walked by and I said to Lori, I go, should I go see if I can interview him? Which I'm not going to do. I'm just not that kind of a YouTuber. I should be. I'd probably get more of you watching, but I didn't. But anyway, so we're talking to Lori and Nate and the other reporters come running, booking it, chased him down. So I'm assuming Nate possibly got a little interview with them. I hope so. I'd like to hear, because I would have had questions, but I'm not a good reporter like that. Like I'm not going to, excuse me. I don't know. I should have, maybe, but I'm not Nate Eaton at East Idaho News. I'm Kathy Brooks at Left Undone, which is good enough for me. Thank you, BC girls. Yes, please you guys. One thing that helps the channel grow, and it doesn't cost you anything, is to hit the like if you like it. If you're here and you're listening, I would assume you kind of like what you're hearing, or we're giving you information that you wanted to know. So it doesn't cost anything. It's not super chat. It's just to tell YouTube that this was informative, or I appreciate this content, or whatever. And then the way the YouTube algorithm works, they will present my stuff to a wider audience as people like my stuff. So if you don't like it, YouTube is just like, well, those 250 people were watching, but only 20 people liked it. So we're not going to show it later on, because there's the replay, right? So that really helps a lot. Oh, he said no comment to Nate. Thank you, Leighton. He said no comment to Nate. Maybe he's got more to do with it. Who knows if he's going to come back with more. Can he appeal those fines? I was hoping he got it. See. Oh, thank you so much, Diana. You upvote me on Reddit. Thank you. I know I'm not on Reddit that much, but I do appreciate it because I go in there every once in a while and drop my stuff or say something. So what other channels did you see people there from? Okay, so we had Lori Hellis, Lauren.
She's sick.
Oh, okay. Yesterday we talked to Lauren. She was here from Hidden True Crime. And then Lindsay is with Annie Elise 10 to Life. She's her producer. So she's here. She went with us to dinner last night. She's very cool. We like her. She pops in the chat here every once in a while. Lindsay does. She's very nice. Yes, we love her. I love channels that can support other channels. Like, it's very nice. So yeah. What a kiss of your heart today. Thank you, Mama D. We got some more thumbs up. I appreciate that.
I just refreshed me.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys. It means a lot. It takes time, effort to come here and do this. And of course I enjoy it. I've been invested in this case for 4 years, almost 5 years now. It was January, right? January 2020. So yeah, 4 full years. Arsling, you are the first one I saw following the case way back in the beginning. Glad you got to be there. Enjoy the coverage. Thank you. Yeah. And you know what? I really was probably the first, if not one of the very first that started following this channel. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to see Melanie Gibb, because her friend sent me that zombie letter before it hit Reddit. And I didn't, I keep saying this now that I know, I should have just live streamed and read the thing. Like, I don't know what I'm reading, but here we go. Instead, I made a video out of it. And so it took longer. So anyway, so she knows who I am, because she was not happy about it when I read it because then that's when it all came out, and then it was on Reddit, and then everybody started talking. It caused quite a commotion. That zombie, I call it the zombie email. I still have it. I have the original one, the original date, if anyone wants proof. But yeah, so I know she knew who I was. So when she was holding the door, I was like, thank you. My husband says I'm too invested in this case because that Chad and Emma video made me cry. Aw. It made you cry? Why? Did it make you cry because you felt bad for them, or are you just the reality of the situation? Or poor Emma? I'm curious. A hit dog always hollers. Okay, here. Mama D has a question. Can you clear up for me? Are the only options for the jury death penalty or life without parole? Or not guilty? I think that's correct. Yeah. Or, maybe life. I think the sentencing at that point, if they don't give them the death penalty, the actual sentencing, whatever the max is versus whatever the minimum is, maybe could the judge, I don't know what the rules are. If the judge could say, okay, well, you're eligible for parole in like 500 years or 50 years or whatever. It's a good question. For Emma I agree. Emma is very brainwashed, and she still is. And I was talking about that today. I go, I'm still mad. I think this is really crappy of Chad to let when he knows what he did, allegedly, that he's going to have his kids come on and do his dirty work. I think it's so unfair to come in and tell these stories about Tammy being sick when she wasn't, We have too much proof that she wasn't ill. Pryor's thing about anemia, oh, do you know that people can die from anemia? And I'm like, I pray there's some kind of medical professional on that panel, and hopefully they bring in some kind of medical expert, prosecution, to refute what Pryor's saying, because yes, you can die of anemia. You can die if your hemoglobin's yeah, sure. But, how many women have a history of anemia? All of us, pretty much. It's pretty common. You bleed and you lose blood during that time of month, you're going to be anemic. So whatever's happening with Pryor and his, was she having Fe infusions, iron infusions? Did she get a blood transfusion? What happened? What was this anemia so going to kill her? And Chad's going to say her heart was failing her. Medically, it makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. Right. I want to see those labs. Right, Angie? How many people do we see that are anemic every day? Like last time I was having this stomach issue, and I went to urgent care, and they did my labs, and they're like, well, everything's fine except you're a little anemic. Okay, bye, go home. That's it. It wasn't a big deal. Pryor's trying to make it sound like, she was dying of anemia. And then, her father had heart problems, so she probably did too. Tammy was wearing a Fitbit, and they have it in evidence that she was clocking 300,000 steps a month, which is 10,000 steps a day. So somebody would tell me, right, Angie, somebody with heart failure walking 10,000 steps a day, they can walk 10 steps across the room if they're that close to death. And heart failure is very slow. So, and she doesn't like to go to the doctor. So how do you know she has heart failure, Dr. Chad Daybell? Where'd you come up with this diagnosis? It's just a bunch of crap. So I feel really, honestly, I feel really bad for the Daybell kids standing by him when we can see so blatantly that a lot of this stuff just can't be true. Yeah. So, yeah. Have you heard from Lindsay? Okay. So, yeah, it's nonsense. Chad's stupid books are stupid. His whole defense strategy is nonsense. And he's going to make his kids do his dirty work, in my opinion. And I think that's really nasty. And he was wearing like a different color, not the plain shirt today. He was wearing like a yellow, like not gingham, but like checked, like little. And he's got like this, his hips are like skinny, but then he's got like, how's Lindsay explaining that? Because it's true saggy butt. Like when she's there's no butt. And he, when he stands up, he's just like, I don't know. And yes, we're seeing him side profile, so he definitely has chins, as we've been saying all these years. I hope so too. Does anyone know if he has offered a deal? I feel like somebody told us that there was talks, but nothing came of it. Dad bod. Yeah, exactly. I do feel horrible for the kids, though. I feel that they are probably completely indoctrinated. Yep. And just wanting to believe that there was no foul play in their mother's death. It's truly horrible. And I agree with you. And I think that's what it is. And that's why I'm like, it's just nasty for him to just let that lie keep going like that and make them come take the stand in his defense. Not make them. I'm sure they want to, because they want to believe him and they want to believe their mom died of natural causes. But, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's duck. Like, it's hard to say. Yes, your heart is affected by anemia, but you have years of warning. I'm very chubby, was very anemic, 46, and I'm not dead yet. You would pass out when training for a marathon. Not in bed. Exactly. Yeah. And, heart failure, anemia, you're so fatigued, you cannot walk 10,000 steps a day. And any kind of like heart disease, heart failure is a very slow, like you go, you're like this. And then some days you'll have like a little bit of better days and a little slower bad days, but then eventually they get to the point. She was only 49.
Her heart was failing her. And
yeah. It just makes me mad. Really does. I'm willing to give all those kids a break, but hearing Emma, I just think that a good father, which we know clearly he's not, would be, I'm not putting my kids through that. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm sorry. I cannot make my kids go up there and tell these when I know what I did, like that's not showing love to his kids. That's showing it's all about me. Chad, T-ball player. Nate is going live now. Well, thank you, Trishy. So I guess we'll go then. So everybody can leave.
We're done anyway.
All right, we're going to go to dinner. So I do appreciate you all. And thank you for being here. We will be on there in the courtroom tomorrow. I'll figure out how I'm going to do the live stream again. We'll figure it out tonight. And I do appreciate you all. So stay safe and hold on. Stay safe and stay well.